Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of That Sounds Fun. I am your host, Annie F. Downs. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Before we dive into today's conversation, I want to tell you about one of our incredible sponsors. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Between the holidays and the crazy schedule and carrying all the emotions that come along with it, this time of year can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some kind of sadness or anxiety about it. But therapy truly can and will help. Having a place to process all of that can be a bright spot amidst all the stress and change, and something to look forward to make you feel grounded and to give you the tools to manage everything going on. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You don't have to worry about running one more errand because your session can be done right from where you are. Just fill out a brief questionnaire. We love a quiz, and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find a bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/thatsoundsfun today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thatsoundsfun. Okay, today on the show, I get to talk with my friend, Jana Kramer. You may know Jana from back in the day when she was on One Tree Hill, or maybe you know her incredible country music, or maybe you've just picked up any of her books. But either way, I'm so excited to have Jana here. I'm really proud of the way she shared parts of her story with such honesty and vulnerability, particularly in her latest book, The Next Chapter. Today, we're talking about what life looks like after a divorce, her journey with motherhood, the questions she's asking God, and what she's learning about freedom and redemption. Because we're talking about some tender parts of her story, I want to encourage you with two things. Number one, it's probably best for you to listen to this before any of my mini-BFFs do. I just want you to hear as Jana so graciously opens up about what she's walking through when it comes to church and faith and the messy, hard parts of that. And so I think a lot of us need a reminder that God isn't scared of our questions. He's not walking away when we start wrestling with our faith or wrestling with sin, and he takes it on. So the other thing I want to encourage you with and remind you is one of the best things about you is how you treat our guests. And you're going to hear Jana talk about some of the struggles with what goes on online and how people are perceiving her life and responding to her. And my encouragement to you today is to love our friend Jana really well, and to care for her and to enjoy this conversation, and also let it be a springboard for you of seeing your friends and neighbors and knowing that there's always more to the story, and the active response to that and how we care for Jana. So I'm thankful. I'm really thankful for her. And I think you're going to love her honesty in this episode. What I love about us is that we are just this giant group of friends, and where it is a safe place to ask hard questions, be honest about the good and the hard, and figure it all out with God. And I feel really honored that Jana would process this part of her story with me and with us. And so I'm excited for you to hear it, and excited for her to experience what it's like to be loved by the That Sounds Fun friends. So here is my conversation with our friend, Jana Kramer. Jana Kramer, welcome to That Sounds Fun.
I'm so excited.
I have to start with a complaint.
Okay.
I'm honored to be mentioned in your book.
Oh, yes.
You quoted the cheesiest thing I've ever said from stage.
It wasn't cheesy. It was great.
I was like, God's ways are higher than our ways, W-A-Z-E.
But it's true.
I'm glad it stuck with your heart. But Jana, as I was reading, I was like, no. But you did.
It truly, I was like, those things, just those are the things.
Yeah.
You know?
It is hilarious. This book, The Next Chapter, can I just celebrate your courage? Yes. Because you wrote a book with your ex-husband about relationships.
Yeah.
And then you had to write another book, and y'all are no longer married.
Yeah.
And will you talk to me about the courage of that? When did you decide you could even start writing?
Well, we wrote a book called The Good Fight. And it was all about a couple trying to save their marriage and work through it, infidelity, and, all the toughness of marriage when infidelity strikes. And that was a hard book, but I felt like it was a very healing book.
Yes.
I feel like it helped a lot of people. Having said that, a few months later, I was filing for divorce. It felt like the biggest fraud. And I'm like, okay, we didn't do anything that we tried, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to write a book about trust. So we started writing a book about trust. And
y'all had already started writing it?
We had just started writing it.
Gosh.
And so we had the conversations. My ex and I had, started writing down, the kind of the chapter outlines. Like we had a call with our editor.
Jeez.
And so when I called her telling her that I found out that he cheated again, I was like, I'm done. Yeah. Obviously, like for good this time. And so then there went the book deal. That went away.
Yeah.
And so that was hard because, again, I felt like a failure. I felt like something that, financially too, was something that for us that would have been great. But also it was one of those things where I'm like, well, I guess I'm never going to write another book because he always said he was the writer. I wrote my piece, but I'm not the best writer. I write from my tone. Like I write how I talk.
Beautiful.
I'm just like, it's not perfect and it's just kind of all over the place. And so with I called my editor and I said, I'd like to write a book about trusting myself.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, I think we should wait until you're in a relationship and happy and moved on. I'm like, no. I was like, I need you to hear me. I need you to hear me like super loud. I go, my entire happiness has always been based on if I'm in a relationship or if I'm with a man, like that is always equal. Jana equals happiness when she's in a relationship or loved by a man. Yeah. I was like, I have got to figure out like what's wrong with me, how to love myself. And I was like, I'm just going to start writing down stuff and I'm going to start sending it to you and then you just let me know. Yeah. And so then I sent her a bunch of stuff and she goes, keep sending. And that's when she kind of had the idea, let's turn this into like a year diary from the day you filed to the year after.
It was
the evolution of it.
The outline of that was brilliant.
Yeah, she's an amazing editor. So I owe a lot to Sydney Rogers over at HarperCollins for that.
It was brilliant because it is such an invitation to go. I mean, so many of our friends listening after Brandy Wilson was on and we talked so much about her divorce. So many of our friends listening reached out and were like, I have needed a conversation about this because I feel shame, I feel scared, I feel worried. So in the next chapter, you are so honest, Jana, about the year after your divorce.
Yeah.
Are you excited for people to read it? Are you afraid? Are you all the things?
I'm all the things, right? Because it's hard to admit some of the things that I felt or that I was going through. But it's also, I don't think I'm alone in any of it.
That's right.
So I would have loved to have read something knowing that these people went, or, these women or these men went through the same thing post their divorce or anything that has shaken their life like that.
Yeah. I want to talk about your faith for a second.
Sure.
And will you retell the story you told me when you sat down? I may cry when you retell it, by the way.
I can share the DM too if you really want.
I mean, if you want to.
This is just one of the many I got. And it's interesting timing, and it's probably going to make me cry because I thought to myself, why? And I love you, and I love listening to you in church, and I love everything you've written and talk about. But on the way here, I was so nervous because I'm like, I get messages like this. And this was today at 5:48 a.m. Hi, Jana. Hope you're doing well. I've always enjoyed your page and watching you overcome and rise above with Jesus on your side. My current struggle as a 57-year-old Christian woman who does admire you is this. With the utmost respect, what are you saying to young women who are just beginning their life and also their struggles about premarital sex and being a Christian? I might have missed it, but did you get married already? Immediately when you found out you were pregnant again, did you come to your page and your fans in humility and state that you made a mistake in having sex outside of marriage and keep the pregnancy low-key and out of the headlines until you made things right before the Lord? I'm not casting blame, which I appreciate her saying that. I just want to understand because I don't wish to unfollow such a beautiful person who has gone through so much and came out victorious on the other side of the help of Jesus. Please help me understand when you have time. Thank you so much. And then other messages that I get are like, how do you call yourself a Christian now that you're pregnant and out of wedlock, and how are you going to explain that to your daughter? And so I had the hardest time going back to church when I found out I was pregnant because I thought everyone was going to look at me and just be the outcast. And I'm like, well, then how do I call myself a Christian? But I was baptized, but I do believe that Jesus loves all of us. So I'm just I really struggled. And I remember the first time I went back to church in my then second trimester, clearly showing I used to volunteer in the nursery. And so one of the women came over to me and gave me a big hug, and I started crying. She's like, why are you crying? And I was like, I didn't think you'd like me. Like, I feel embarrassed to be here. And then she was just like, no, honey. She's like, God loves you. And I'm like, yeah, but I have all these other people telling me that I've done it bad and wrong, and I'm bad. Yeah. So
I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, I hear the things the Bible says. And also, I know how God has worked in my life, too. And I believe that this is a story that he wrote. So though it's out of the written order that he wrote, it seems to be the right order for my life. So that's what I'm just trying to make sense story, right? With it. Even though it says technically in the Bible you shouldn't. So that's where I'm just struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And yet what we can really believe is no child is an accident.
Right.
Yeah. And so every time a baby is made, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And so we will figure out how to hold both of those things, right? I'm at a little bit of a loss for words because if everything I did was known by everyone, who would have come and hugged me? Right? And so everybody has this real quick ability to look at someone else's life and say whatever they think because what they believe about you is visible. They can see what they want to judge in you. They can't see what they want to judge in me. And so I'm sorry for that. That sucks.
How do I know this is just best, but how do I walk that balance when it's clearly stated in the Bible as X?
Yeah. I think there's real purpose to sex inside of marriage. There's a reason. I mean, you've done that. You know the connection and you know the purpose and you understand what it does for two people. So I think God knows what he's doing when he asks us to think about sex in those terms of what it does for a man and a woman. I also think that grace is abundant, right? And that it doesn't change how he feels about any of us when we make mistakes. I think the thing you get to process through is, what does sexual purity look like for you? Because one of the things that you talk about so openly in the book is your ex did not live a sexually pure life in your marriage.
No.
That's one of the reasons your marriage didn't last. And so what does sexual purity look like to you now? My guess is you will not sleep with someone else besides the man you're marrying.
Absolutely not. Yes.
Right. Because in your core, you believe in sexual purity.
Yes.
And so we can ask God, okay, God, what does sexual purity look like for Jana? And what does sexual purity look like as she's raising her kids to teach them what would sexual purity be if you're a Jesus follower?
Right.
And so that's the question you get to wrestle down, not is what I did right or wrong. The Holy Spirit will get you there, you know? But what is sexual purity? Because it doesn't end once you're married.
Right. Well, also my daughter too. And I told her, I was like, so, having a baby. And she's like, but you're not married. And I was like, yes, you were right, Right. And I was like, and I was like, God just blessed us sooner, we will get married and we are going to get married. He just blessed us sooner.
Yes.
And so that was like but I believe that. Like I do believe that this was a blessing because again, I have struggled with conceiving. I've had so many miscarriages. And when we talked about even trying, I had said after post-divorce, I wasn't going to have any more kids. I was like, I'm done. I'm almost 40. Like ship has sailed for me.
Right.
And then with him, I'm like, I want to create something with him. Like I love this man. And it's just like, he's everything I like dreamt and wrote down in my Bible. I was like, God, this is the man, like, and put it in there, know? And it's like, it was him. And so when, I was like, well, I just don't even think it's even going to be possible. Like I've had to do IVF. I had to do all of it. And then I've lost in the first month. Wow. And so I was just like, okay, like you've got a bigger plan than that I thought.
Yeah.
So,
and when you trace, you do this beautifully in the book. When you trace your story, it's very clear, and this is true for me too in some ways, it's very clear the power of men and love and attraction is in your story.
Yeah.
And so part of that has played into your sexual life too.
Yeah.
Right. And so all of it is one story that as we keep healing, this podcast I listened to this morning was talking about if God brings you back to the same thing, it's not that he didn't heal it, it's that there's a new level of healing.
Sure.
And so my guess is if I was a betting woman, you and I can keep up as much as we want to, but we can have this actual conversation again in a year.
Sure.
And you'll be like, here's one way that I'm thinking differently. And I'll be like, here's one way that I'm thinking differently because of the healing that'll happen in the same arena.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And like, I get it. A lot of people are you going to get married before you have the baby? Like in my mind, I'm like, I would like to, but I also want the dream wedding too, that I like, even, I'm like, I want to marry this man. So it's like, I just have to sit with that piece a little bit longer.
Yes. Yes. I am so thankful that you talk about this and that you wrestle about this, because it is just so inviting and honest. It makes you so believable.
Thanks.
As a human. And so thank you for being willing to wrestle about this.
Well, I mean, I sat down with Pastor Kevin because I was having a really hard time going back into the church, and I talk about that in the book of just kind of the struggle with men and and putting someone in that godlike, outfit basically, and I'm like, but I have a really hard time believing this, and I have a tough time. I struggle with this. And he goes, that's faith. He's like, the struggle and the questions. He's like, that is faith. Keep the questions coming.
Yes. Yeah. I want you to hear that from me too, that like this thing we're doing, this is faith. Mm-hmm. This is our faith going like, okay, what does it actually look like?
Yeah.
And if everybody is yelling at me about this, that's not working for me. That doesn't make me want to be different. But from here on out, I want to be with one person. Mm-hmm. And so what do I do to, I think the wrestling you're doing is beautiful. I think it really matters. I want to talk about a couple of things that came up in the book to me that I just think are beautiful. First of all, this is so funny. Will you talk about how breakups are better in the summer? I could not agree with you more. That was my cheesy one was January.
Oh, girl.
Gosh.
Terrible. I'm not saying like wait, like don't ever wait, but I'm just saying like if you're going to break up, like the summertime
Talk about why.
Because it's this, like, I need the sun. The sun makes, I feel like, again, vitamin D, everyone needs the vitamin D.
Yes.
And just like being out in the sun, you can be out. When you are trapped inside your house and it's cold and it is just like dreary out, for me personally, that is when my depression levels start to go down, obviously. And so, but when it's sunny out and it's warm, then, more people are out or you want to go to the pool or go to the, go hiking or just, I have to be. I am a lighter, happier person when I'm outside and I'm just active with people, whether it's just walking around the neighborhood or going for a hike or being on the water. It's hard to do those things in the winter. So for me, I noticed, I was like, man, this is like great timing because I'm forcing myself out of bed to get out and feel the sun. And there's just it just hits you different.
Yeah.
It really does. January's tough. I'm sorry, girl. But don't stay with someone just because it's that time frame.
Oh, yeah. I had a thing in like April of COVID, and I was like, we are the only people touching each other. Like, no one else is even hugging me. Yeah. What are you doing?
Right.
Can we wait? At the time, you're like, can we wait a few more weeks till everything opens up?
Right. Yeah, I know.
Why? Oh, yeah. January breakups, brutal.
That sounds fun.
Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation to share about one of our amazing partners, Thrive Market. Y'all know schlepping my groceries around the streets of New York is not the easiest thing in the world. So Thrive Market is saving the day again by shipping me some of my favorite items right to my door. Bless, bless, bless them. As a Thrive Market member, I've also saved money on every single order. On average, I save over 30% each time. They also have a deals page that changes daily and gives me cash back on so many brands. And they have a price match guarantee. Y'all, I'm so here for Thrive Market. I love them in Nashville. I love them in New York. They have over 70 filters on their website and app, so you can easily find exactly what you're looking for instead of having to read through all the ingredients while standing in the aisle at the store. Plus, when you join Thrive Market, you're also helping a family in need through Thrive's 1-for-1 membership matching program. You join and they give, and I just love that. So join in on the savings with Thrive Market today and get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. Go to thrivemarket.com/thatsoundsfun for 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/thatsoundsfun. Thrivemarket.com/thatsoundsfun. And one more amazing partner to tell you about, Raycon. It's never too early to start your holiday shopping. Why not take care of it now before the crowds and packed calendars make shopping a total nightmare, especially when you can get some of the best deals of the season well before Black Friday. You can shop Raycon products right now and save up to 50% off because their early Black Friday sale is going on right now. I am living for these early Black Friday sales, you guys. Y'all have heard me talk about Raycon, their everyday earbuds, truly truly are amazing. And that's how they first made a name for themselves. They deliver on high quality and thoughtful features like a 32-hour battery life, which is saving my life in New York, and a perfect in-ear fit for all day wear and lasting comfort. And this past year, Raycon expanded their entire business with the introduction of Raycon Home and Raycon PowerTech. For example, they have their faucet filter, which ultra filters the water in your tap against chlorine and heavy metals. To get everyone in the holiday shopping spirit a bit early, Raycon's currently offering 20% off everything on their site, with select products up to 50% off. You guys, hurry now to buyraycon.com/thatsoundsfun to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/thatsoundsfun to score up to 50% off Raycon products. Buyraycon.com/thatsoundsfun. Y'all, let's go. Let's get some of that. Okay, now back to our conversation with Jana.
That sounds fun.
Okay, so when you're writing about all of this, I mean, your divorce happens and you're writing that first year. How do you parent through this? Because I'm like, I know how to do a breakup in the summer when it's just me at my house. I know actually how to do a breakup in the winter when it's just me in my house. So many of our friends listening, it is cuffing season, and they're going to have something end. They're going to have a marriage end possibly before this year is over. How do you parent through that?
That was the hardest piece. You know, he left the house. And so while I'm trying to pick up the pieces the first week, first 2 weeks, first month.
Oh, tell about your friend making you. Is it this Catherine that's
That-
here?
that's Catherine.
Oh my gosh, the Catherine that's here is the one who would not let you sit on the floor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, please tell that story. That
But
first week.
it's the
Catherine, you're
Sorry,
such a
Catherine.
hero.
But she is, though. That's the
Yes.
thing. Like, and I could cry even like, talking about her because she knows exactly what I need. And in that moment, I can sometimes tend to ask for help when I know it's not good for me too. Like I needed to stand up, have her protein, because it was the morning after the divorce. And
Yeah.
so she was like, I will wait here, but you were driving your kids to school.
Yeah.
And that just was the first step in just going, okay, I have to zip this up, button myself up, be the parent and drive my kids. And then she's like, and then you can come home and you can cry the rest of the day until pickup. I think she also knew that if she did take her kids, it would have delayed my healing because I would have asked her again. And then I would have asked her again because it becomes a clutch.
Yeah.
And for me, anxiety, I'm like, well, I can't because I have anxiety. Like, no, yes, I just had an anxiety attack and I'm going to drive my kids to school.
Yeah.
And I'm going to eat this protein bar because I need to eat something.
Oh, yeah,
or
she
I'm gonna
handed you a
pass out.
protein
Yeah,
bar.
she's like, eat your Think Thin bar, go away. No. I mean, she wasn't that like hard about it. Like it sounds a little harsher in the book, but I mean, she did the absolute right thing as my best friend to do.
Yeah.
Knowing me and knowing who I am. But it's hard because, you know, he was off, I don't even know where he was staying at the time, but golfing and doing that. And I'm like, I'm picking up all the pieces and trying to parent and trying not to explode in front of them every time I saw them. So that was...
Will you talk about the vacation when he took the kids on vacation?
so
You saw it on
hard.
Facebook?
I mean...
because so many of our friends listening know this feeling.
It's just... I never, and that's the thing too, like when I first found out our first year of marriage and our daughter was like 6 months, about the first round of affairs, I'm like, I come from a divorced family. I don't want to not be without my kids. Like I didn't have a family to like have it be separated. And like, I say goodbye to my daughter or my, you know, now my son. And like, I'm like, this isn't what I wanted. And so that first realization when he was taking them on the family trip with his family, like, of course, like, absolutely now, you know, that's amazing and they deserve that time with their grandma and grandpa. But that first one was so hard because I'm like, I should be there. Like, this isn't fair. Just because of what you did.
Right.
Now I'm missing out on this family vacation that we were all supposed to go on and play in the beach. And I'm not going to be able to order my son his little gelato and then, you know, hold his hand back to the Airbnb. Like, I'm just like, that's not fair. Like, what you did took away now memories that like I was supposed to have with them.
Yes. Right.
And that piece is still to this day. It's still not easy. I had it was so sweet. One of our the baseball coach kind of saw me saying goodbye to the kids and putting them in Dad's truck, and he must have clocked like my deep breath, and he's like, "You okay?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm good." And he goes, "Sorry, that must be hard." And I'm like, "You know what it is?" I go, even to this day, and I'm very much happy and moved on. It's not easy saying goodbye to your kids, no matter if it's 3 years ago or in the present. It's not a normal thing to go, okay, bye, see ya.
Yeah.
see it when you come back from your dad's. Like,
Yeah.
I want you in your bed every night at our house. Like, that's our family.
Yes.
So
Is it forgive me, I just have not done this. Is it change all the time? Is it like you're still navigating your relationship with your ex? Because all the time you're like, okay, they are having a great time, or I don't like that they come home and say this. I mean, is there just a constant working on it?
Yeah. And we have a pretty set schedule, but we're also very flexible, obviously, with work and with things that come up with him or me or whatever. And then there's things that I don't love the fact that they play video games all the time at their dad's house, and I'm like, we don't do it at our house. So there's just like, we have decent conversations.
You still have to co-parent.
About, And that's the thing. Like, I have to remember whenever I talk to him, I have to go, he's your co-parent. He's not your ex-husband, even though he is. But he's like, he's not your current husband. He's not your ex-husband. And he's not like, he is someone who loves and is helping you with the kids, a co-parent.
What a great thing to do in your brain.
I have to, because if not, I let too much of the old stuff kind of come up, and I'm like, I don't need that is the past, and that does not need to come into this.
Yeah.
This is a new relationship. We have our past relationship, and we have our new relationship, and this is our new relationship, is co-parenting.
Interesting.
But it can be hard when we get triggered, or when he forgets something, or if I do something, or so or if he feels controlled, like, because I'm like, well, why didn't you, or it's just whatever. Like, he can be triggered too. So we do a decent job of like staying in touch with our new relationship, and if something comes up from our past, be like, hey, sorry, that just bothered me because of, and I'm like, yep. I get it, sorry. I could see how that made you feel controlled, because I was like, why do the kids watch iPad for 10 million hours? But also a valid question.
Yeah, but also I would like to know.
I would like to know. So, but it's hard, like, to let that piece go.
Yeah. I mean, as I'm thinking about it, the part of it that you have that a lot of us don't have is everything's public too. Mm-hmm. He's a public person. Some of your other exes are public people, and say things publicly. How does your soul handle that? I mean, Al Andrews says our souls were never meant for fame. Mm-hmm. How does your soul handle when you read something publicly or see? I mean, that's been so many years of your life at this point, but I mean, that DM you read us at the start, it's still got to be hard.
It's challenging. I mean, I have got like, hate pages and people saying nasty things.
Hate pages, like entire things?
Oh, yeah. There's like a Reddit page of like a couple thousand trolls. They're just like mean, like just really mean. So
Why are humans like this?
I used to open, like my therapist is like, you are opening the window. You're letting the gas in. You're doing that to yourself by logging on and going www.reddit.com/ like whatever. And so she's like, you got to close the window.
I would barf
she's like,
if I read all that stuff about it. I'm sure it exists out there, but I don't want to read any of it.
It's just, but that I'm allowing people to take my joy. So I'm in a very joyful season right now in my life. Why would I want someone to take that joy from me?
Yeah.
Because I did for so many years. I would care about this. Well, that person said that, and that's not true. Like, this did a tell-all. I'm like, that's not that. Like, those are pieces that aren't true. And like, I want to defend myself for what? Right. Because although I'd love to, the people that know me. The people that follow me are going to see, they're going to read through it. Yeah. And also, I'm allowing someone to take my joy away from me. And I don't, like, I get to choose that. So why would I choose someone to take my joy?
Yeah. It's actually one of the reasons I don't really read DMs. Because I'm like, I'm not as tough as you. I'm just not. I mean, my skin is not, I haven't practiced this long enough. You've had massive success globally. And so you've had to deal with this a lot longer. I just am not tough enough. So I'm like, sorry, y'all. I'm not going to read my DMs. I'm sure there's a lot of very kind things in there, but the 8 that aren't.
I know. And that's the thing. It's only just the
it's
few.
It's so few.
Yeah. There's so many
few.
more positive comments.
Yes.
So that's where another reason too, I've just stopped. Because I'm like, I've been told I always wanted 100% approval rate.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get it.
I know. That's what I want too, though.
So, and although I really strive for it, there's going to be someone. So I always just say now, I'm like, if you don't like me, that sucks. I hope one day you give me the chance to like meet you in person.
Yeah.
And we can have a good exchange.
Yes. Yes. And just like, I wish you well. I didn't like everybody from high school either.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, I mean, literally, I told a story from stage last weekend where someone had chirped pretty hard at me on the internet. And I said, I'm sure her friends like her. Like, I'm sure her friends like her.
Right.
Doesn't mean we have to like each other, but I'm sure her friends like her.
Yeah.
And so I wish you well. Go off and be friends with your friends. You do not have to be friends with me. And y'all are all going to be stuck with me in heaven too. If we believe the same thing about Jesus.
Well, it's, it's interesting. It's always the nastier comments come from people that say Jesus lover. And I'm like,
no.
That's ironic.
Yeah. What makes you choose Jesus anyway when those are the people who are the most unkind to you?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't makes sense.
Yeah. I'm always impressed when people who take massive criticism don't walk away from him. You know, and you haven't. I mean, you just got baptized when? February?
Was it last February? Let's see.
February of this year?
Yeah, the February of last year.
Of 22. Yeah. Will you talk about your decision to do that? It was beautiful. It was
Thank
beautiful.
You. I just, after the divorce, I just again was holding so much hate, I think.
Yeah.
And I felt like I've walked alone for so long, and I've kind of let God in glimpses. I've let him in glimpses.
Wow.
And I didn't want to, I wanted to bring him in more than just like a, hey, you can peek through the window. Like you got to come in. You're going to climb in the window.
Yeah.
And for me, I needed to feel that movement. And to me, baptism was a movement for me. And it was like my ultimate, I called it like my battle cry. Like it was my ultimate, like, okay, I still, question things, but like I'd like for you to walk with me.
Yes.
Because it's what I learned from my divorce is it's a very lonely walk, because you got all your friends that are there for you right post-divorce, and then they go back to their lives, and you're just standing and you're by yourself. And you're very alone.
Everybody's there for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course they go back to their lives. And then it's just you. And I had a tough time being alone and in the quiet. Yeah. So when I invited him in, because he's always been there, I just have been the one shutting the door on him. That was where it was like, okay, I actually would like to have your voice here or your presence or feel, because this is what it hasn't worked for me in the past. And I don't like to feel this way. So
I think it's really beautiful, because even back to our conversation about you having a baby, and I just go, what's amazing about all of us as humans is baptism does not seal our salvation. Already saved. It just is it's a battle cry. Yeah. It's an outward and public sign of what you believe about Jesus. And then we still wrestle with how to follow the path.
Yeah.
Me too, Jana. Me too. Yeah. And so
do I have to get rebaptized after I have the baby? No. No, I know.
Yes. No, I mean, it is that though, right?
Yeah.
Of we all get to keep wrestling out our faith. And because you're willing to do that in front of us, you're giving me permission to do that in my life too. And it is just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
That sounds fun.
Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation one more time to tell you about another amazing partner, KiwiCo. My mini BFFs love KiwiCo. It's like unwrapping a box of fun, and they get to create some of the cutest and coolest things they've made. Ukuleles and wind chimes and an astronaut starter kit. KiwiCo has 9 different subscription options for different ages and subjects, so there's something for everyone. When you give KiwiCo, it's so much more than a box of toys. It's the gift of discovery because of their hands-on experiences, giving kids the tools to learn about topics that they love, from dinosaurs to rocket ships. KiwiCo delivers seriously fun, hands-on projects that inspire a lifelong love for learning. Their projects spark creative confidence for ongoing tinkering and experimentation. Sure, you can buy a ukulele, but isn't it way more fun to build your own? Their crates are fun and stress-free, so you can enjoy quality time with your kids and tackle projects together. And they're tested and approved by kids. KiwiCo projects are designed by a team of educators, makers, engineers, and rocket scientists who brainstorm hundreds of ideas to create the most exciting, age-appropriate, and educational projects. These are real engineering, science, and art projects with high-quality materials. Discover hands-on fun with KiwiCo. Get your first month free on any crate line at kiwico.com/thatsoundsfun. That's your first month free at kiwico.com/thatsoundsfun. And one last amazing partner to tell you about, Nutrafol. Okay, do you ever wish your hair was thicker? Or do you catch yourself noticing how much it is shedding on the floor or in the shower when you're getting ready? That has been my life the last couple of weeks. There are so many root causes for hair thinning, and Nutrafol addresses those through a whole body approach to hair health. Hair thinning is totally normal, and that's why I love Nutrafol. They help us address it from within. Their science-backed supplements. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve visible thickness and strength. Okay, so get this. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after taking Nutrafol's Women Hair Growth Supplement for first 6 months. Just go to Nutrafol.com to take their hair health wellness quiz. We love a quiz. And identify the causes of your thinning hair. And Nutrafol will give you your personalized plan for better hair growth through their whole body health approach. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code That Sounds Fun. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, it's spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code That Sounds Fun. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code That Sounds Fun. Okay, now back to finish up our conversation with Jana.
That sounds fun.
You also talk a lot about dating in the book. We did the whole month of June on dating on the podcast.
Oh, you did?
Summer lovin'. Yeah, we
Wait,
talked about it.
Are we in a relationship?
No, not currently. Nothing. And listen, I am a hard launch person. I'm not a soft launch person. And so I probably won't be in a relationship until I'm in a relationship publicly.
I just can't wait like for that day in church because I feel like everyone's gonna be like,
Right? They'll be like, fine.
no, not finally,
What's
but
she
just
gonna
like
preach about now?
good, like you know, like you
thanks,
you
Jana.
didn't settle, like you got what
Wow.
you deserve. You know,
You're very kind.
so I've just been
Thank
waiting
you.
for it. I'm like,
I know. Well, I mean, yes, we can talk down some things. We can wind down some things after this. But one of the things you talk about, so I want us to talk about dating for a minute for our friends who are in that season.
Yes.
You talk about not going to the grocery store when you're hungry. Will you teach us that concept? Because I really, in my experience of your book, The Next Chapter, that was really when a page turned for you in your dating and in your relationship with men was when you got that concept of not going grocery shopping when you're hungry.
yeah, that came from my therapist, and it was so true because when you're hungry, you're gonna get things that are like, oh, I just want this like right now.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Like the Haagen-Dazs and the whatever and the chips, like it's at that moment, it's probably not the best thing for you. But when you're starving for something, and I was so starving for love and attention after my divorce that like the first person I was like, oh my God, like he thinks I'm beautiful and he wants to like.
I'm sure his family loves him, but that guy didn't seem like the best one you've ever been with. But
Well,
I'm sure
but I wasn't healthy either. Right. So it's like
water finds water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, he might be so healthy now with someone else, but I was also like in that same state of finding kind of the same man.
Interesting, yeah.
And-
yes, I noticed that because that brought some things up for me in counseling where I was like, Jana's right. I keep picking similar men.
Right. And there's a reason for that. And there's
Right.
like that piece in you that still, there's something that's feeding that negative belief in you that thinks that you deserve that.
Yeah. So how'd you get that out?
Oh God. I mean, I went to onsite,
Yeah.
which was like,
Same, me.
like the third time.
Oh, did you? I kind of think about going back and doing an intensive just to like a tune-up
I
kind of
needed
thing.
the one-on-one.
Yeah.
Love the group settings, but like
Yeah.
I have to just be one-on-one and be like, all right, let's figure this out.
Yes.
I didn't realize how much shame I was walking around with from years.
Yeah.
I always thought shame was what they did wrong. But I was like, no, shame, that's just guilt.
Yeah.
But like for me, I didn't know that shame was holding me down, and I was believing all these messages
Yeah.
that weren't true. They were just things that other people told me that I tried on and kept on. And so with, then going back into dating, it was just, I still had so many unhealed pieces. I thought I was, I've been doing therapy forever for the last 7 years with my ex. So I'm like, I'm good. Like that was all him.
Yeah.
He's one of the problems.
Yeah.
And so, but then again, I go right back to, oh my God, this guy showed me attention and affection, and he seems to really care about me. But again, it was just the same man, different name. So, and it was until I switched, and that's where where I am right now with my fiance is. I always say he just loves and respects me so much, and I've never used that respect word, but it's because I never asked for respect. I was constantly letting other men disrespect me because I didn't think I deserved respect. So now, of course, I'm getting respect because that's what I expect.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm, asking for.
Yeah.
So
How did you do that though? How do you switch your brain to I deserve respect? Like I don't know how to do that with the things in me.
I had to say the truth. So when I'm not enough, and again, it still comes up in things like if I miss out on a role, or if I'm having if I don't know, something, it's not as often as it used to be, but that I'm not enough. I deserve abuse. I deserve, like abuse is the big one, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not this or that. What is the truth to that? no, I don't deserve abuse. And why do I think so you have to figure out why you think you deserve all those things. Where did that come from? And really go into the weeds with that. Well, I think I deserved abuse because of my childhood. And then the men, because why would they hit me if I didn't deserve it? Or why didn't I get this? Or why did they leave me? I obviously wasn't good enough. Well, no, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
So it's deep diving into all your messages that you believe about yourself and then naming the truth of it. Like, I know I do deserve to be loved. And I haven't had that yet because this X, Y, and Z. So it's just really like deep diving and then trying to, I had to write, I still have sticky notes around like, I'm good enough. I still every day have to like look at it to remember.
And just keep calling that. Yeah, for as long as we've practiced the old narrative, we have to practice the new one.
Exactly. Right? Yeah, because I've had 39 years or, however long, like of believing this. So now I have to really tune my brain to believe, no, I do deserve this. And I am good enough.
Yes.
And it was just unfortunate situations of whatever, if something happens.
Yeah. You're giving me such good language for what I need to ask myself. Why do I keep picking him? Right? What's that movie with Julia, Runaway Bride?
Yeah.
Right? Where she does all the different eggs.
Right.
I've always been like, you and I aren't eating whatever kind of eggs the guy eats, but there's relational ways that I do that.
Yeah.
And so I think you taught some really beautiful things in this book for those of us who are looking for the person we'll end up with around like, but who are you? Why don't you just be fully you?
Yeah.
And then look who's around.
And also it's writing down like the old narrative. It's like, for me, it's like I play into the old narratives or what people say. What is my narrative? I'm like, who actually am I? Like, who do I want to be? So it's just a lot of like journaling and a lot of just like reflective work too. And, some of the things that I did on-site people can do, like you take the rocks, go to a stream, let it wash it away. I mean, just things that over time can just sometimes seeing it, doing the act can help you. But you have to, and that's the thing, like sometimes I don't believe it. Like I know now, without a question of a doubt, I couldn't have said this 2 years ago. I know now I do not deserve abuse. I do not deserve someone to talk to me in a certain way or any of those things. I still struggle with I'm not enough. Still, but that's again, years of repair.
Yes.
And it's going to take years of work.
That's right.
To repair that.
Yes, that's right. We're going to get to keep saying the truth over and over and over. Will you talk about being in a season of joy now? I mean, new house. I mean, it's just all beautiful to watch. So will you talk about what is the season of joy?
Yeah. And that's been, maybe that's the third book it's been really hard to accept it.
Really?
Like I've really, like that's been the biggest work with my therapist because I'm like, am I dying? Like, is something happening? Like, because I don't almost feel like I deserve the joy. So that's been my biggest work with my therapist is the gratitude of it. Because I'm like, I must be dying of cancer. Like I must have something. Like, because I'm like, I can't get everything. Like I'm like, I've got the dream man. I'm having a baby. Like the family. Like the silver lining of all this. I'm like, it's not possible. Like it doesn't make sense to me. So it's like really like that's been my work as of late is just trying to be grateful and accept it. Because there's still those old narratives. I'm like, no. When is the shoe dropping? Like there's something that's going to happen and that's the piece where I'm like, no, okay. Thank you, God. And thank you. And try to accept it.
Will you talk about people writing as you were building the house, having people write messages?
This came from my realtor, Nick Woodard. He actually, and his wife is Catherine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. Everybody.
Everyone I like to just keep it in the family.
You should.
Yeah. But he's been doing that for a while in homes. He would write the bones of the house and write scripture. And so I had all my closest friends come and write scripture. And then me and Alan went too. And before we knew the baby was we weren't sure of the miscarriage or whatever. And we were writing on the walls. I said, "Keep beating, baby," and we just prayed over the house, and
because you started building it before you were with Alan, right?
Yeah, I mean I'm like the guest room turned into a nursery.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's such a beautiful part of the story, even of what we were talking about what narratives you're believing in your head of like you were building the life you wanted, and God brought in the right man at the right time, and so. Talk about the kids in the house. Do they love it?
Oh my gosh, they love it.
Yeah.
It's still, it's still a work in progress, but it's just, it's starting to feel like a home now for sure. And it's just, it's everything. And again, I have a hard time sitting up there. I'm like, okay, I did it, and I was so scared. And I went into this as a single mom with my 2 kids. And now I'm going to be bringing home a baby with, my soon to be husband. Like, it's just, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it because again, I could not have written this.
Yeah. I think it's such a good reminder, I hope, to you that God gives really good gifts.
Yeah.
Right?
He walk with them and believe and have a little bit of patience. And because I try to force the outcomes of things. I'm always trying to, manipulate the situation or control it. Or it's like sometimes you just have to put your hands up and go, what do you want to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to steer the ship and I'm doing a really bad job.
That's right. That's right.
What do you want to do?
That's right.
Go for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
For our friends listening that have surely fallen in love with you today, I am sure that the messages we will hear are how much they love you. Tell me how you want them to pray for you.
Oh, man. That's a very sweet question. I would say just to be able to relax in the greatness of everything that I have always dreamt and wanted since I was a little girl, coming from a broken home, that I've created a safe space and to continue to pray over the safe space.
Yeah. I'm sure you remember this, but there is this part when Moses is leading the people out of Egypt. When they leave, it is 40 years that they are wandering in the desert before they're in the promised land. And you write beautifully about it in the next chapter, but you have suffered greatly. You have suffered more than most people, and it's promised land time. Now, the promised land did not come without its own trials,
Right.
and they had to battle. But
Well, it's interesting that my due date is my 40th birthday. So that has
is
never become lost on me.
Yes.
What all of it. So
yes, isn't it just like God?
yeah.
Isn't it just like God to write a story like that?
Yeah.
And so it's promised land time,
Thank you.
Jana. That is just what is true. Yeah, I believe that.
And I can still be healthy too.
Yeah.
And my kids and
That's
everything
right.
else. Like,
That's right.
okay.
That's
We
right.
get to be, I deserve happiness.
Yeah, that this does not mean that there is a tragedy around the corner, though life is very hard.
Sure.
But that A does not equal B in this story. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's promised land stuff.
Thanks.
So that's what we'll have our friends pray into too, is that you will really experience the best parts of the promised land. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's on your 40th birthday. I
I
mean,
know.
the Lord.
I was like,
won't he do it?
What?
This is our mind blown emoji.
I know.
It just says Wowie's Alley. So that kind of blows my mind that he would have this baby due on your 40th birthday. Okay. What did we not say that you want to make sure we say?
Oh, no. I love just the thank you for listening and thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for the words and the movements that you create and to bring people along the journey.
You're very kind. I will imperfectly process anything with you ever.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate that.
I'm figuring it out too.
Okay.
And so we can do this a lot off microphone. We can do this whatever you want because
that.
we get to figure this out. So we processed what we could here, but I'm not doing it perfectly. You're not doing it perfectly. We're just doing the best we can. So, but we love God.
Yeah,
And
we
we
do.
believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And that's about what matters most to me.
Yeah,
So, okay. The last question we always ask, Jana Kramer, I'm so thrilled to ask you this. Of all the years that I'm
Yes,
ready
you
to
were my
hear.
favorite.
Yeah. No.
Campus pastor.
Great. That was my question. Am I your favorite preacher in our church? Because the show is called That Sounds Fun.
Okay.
Tell me what sounds fun to you.
Oh, man. Playing games. Like I
Really?
love like game nights are my favorite thing
What?
ever. I love game nights.
Do you
I'm
really?
such a nerd. Yeah.
Did the kids love them too?
I like everybody. Like
Alan too? Like, did the Lord bring you a
Alan's-
gamer?
the only thing.
The Lord will bring him around. We'll give it time. We
We're
pray into
trying.
that
We're baby
too.
stepping. Yeah, please pray into that too.
Okay, what games are y'all playing at the house?
Well, I want to do a murder mystery for my 40th.
Okay.
Like
okay.
that's what I really want to do. But no, we like literally anything you can think of. We love
Okay.
to play, like from charades to I love euchre. I'm a big card girl. So
That's Michigan stuff.
I know.
That is up north.
I know.
Summers by the lake.
But yeah, I
playing
mean
euchre.
anything from
Yeah.
like catchphrase to like just all of it.
Have y'all done Tinsy?
No. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm getting it for you. Don't even get it. I'm going to get you what you need.
Catherine's
It's
already Googling it
It
'cause
is
she's
a
also a
great
gamer.
dice game
Oh.
where everybody has their own dice, and it is
love because we play Yahtzee with
fun.
the kids a lot.
Yes, it is. And one of my favorite things is I have friends that have kids in other places in the U.S. and you can play Tinsy over FaceTime.
Oh, fine.
As long as they have their set and you have your set, it's really easy to play.
Okay.
So Tinsy's a great one.
I'm
That's
so
kind of my
excited.
favorite. Oh,
Okay.
I love that you love game. Of course, that's great. A game night. Jana, thanks for doing this today and for trusting us. I love you.
Thank you.
I'm
Love you too, babe.
proud of this, and I'm proud to share you with my friends. So
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Y'all, isn't she great? I know. What an important, special conversation. So make sure you grab a copy of the next chapter right now and follow Jana on social media. Tell her thank you for being on the show. You can leave a comment in any of the posts that we share today around this episode. But the more we tag her and tell her we're grateful, the better off, Why not? Why not be those friends to her, right? So if you need anything else from me, I'm embarrassingly easy to find. Annie F. Downs on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, in my puffy coat in New York. I think that's it for me today, friends. Go out or stay home. Do something that sounds fun to you, and I'll do the same. Today, what sounds fun to me is there is a coffee shop right around the corner. I'm going to walk and get me a chai later. So y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday with my friend and one of our favorites. Y'all get ready. Natalie Grant is back. We'll see y'all Monday.
Yeah.